I'm pretty conscious on the things that I say and do pretty much generally all throughout my life. And if it's one thing that I notice that I'm saying a lot in my videos or audio or video audios, whatever this is that I'm doing now on YouTube, is that games don't reinvent the wheel, and that I almost sound like every game that I play, I kind of I deem the game to be average, and that's not my aim. And I thought about this a lot, right? Especially with a game like Core Keeper, right? That right off the bat, I can tell you does not reinvent the wheel when it comes to crafting, survival, sandbox type games, like the often compared to Minecraft and Terraria, right? That those two games are always going to be the big brothers that are always going to be looming over their smaller little brothers, like Core Keeper and other games, you know. But that is true in the case of Core Keeper. What I've been saying in lots of my videos, which is like this game is not average by any means at all. Like I think this game is most definitely above average. If I had to give you a flat out score from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, just in case there's any confusion out there, I would give this game a solid 8 so far. That's great. It's I've been having a lot of fun with this game, although the formulas and the gameplay and even the music are not exactly revolutionary, right? And that's all right because you can tell this game draws heavy inspiration from all the greats, such as like Minecraft and Terraria, like I said earlier, and I want to say Roblox, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not familiar with Roblox. I'm not even sure what kind of gameplay that game entails. Like, I don't know if it's sandbox, create your own world type deal. I don't know if there's any crafting or survival elements in Roblox. I just know that it has a huge fan base for children and the younger crowd, and so I'm assuming it's got to be simplistic gameplay. But I don't know if it's akin to Core Keeper or other games like it. It's okay to not reinvent the wheel. It's okay to not be revolutionary. It's okay to not, introduce new mechanics or even a fresh perspective. All those sound like they're is derogatory the word I want to say, like negative prerogative. I can never say that word. Anyways, all those the little basic description that I just said of this game, you may think that I think or anyone else that hears this, it's a negative thing, like, oh, this game doesn't reinvent the wheel. Oh, well, that sounds bad, doesn't it? Not necessarily, because if you want to make a game in the same vein as another game, you better make sure you do it well. If you're not going to knock everyone off their feet with something fresh, you better do it fucking well. And unfortunately, this is a pattern in humanity. This I can't just attribute the video game industry as well as just entertainment in general for this attribute. A very human attribute is trends. Groupthink, following what everyone else is doing. That's anywhere you entertainment, religion, lifestyles, diets. You know what I mean? Like rights economies are based, some economies are completely modeled after other economies. you know Politics are completely remodeled from other countries' politics. They mirror each other. That's the thing us humans do. And to not think so widely. I know I'm going all fucking patriotic here. I feel like I'm running for president or something. But what I'm saying is, in our video game industry, there's lots of trends, right? There's always been lots of trends. What are the newest trends in our video game industry today? One of them is definitely Souls-like games, which I'm fucking tired of. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I feel like that genre is beat to death. Just like in the movies, I'm sick and tired of fucking Marvel movies and superhero movies and DC movies, just those type of movies in general. Just because I'm sick of these movies, and just because I'm sick of Dark Souls like games, or Souls like games as they call them, does that mean that I hate them individually? Like, Can I say I hate superheroes? No. Can I say I hate Dark Souls? No. Do I hate the fact that everything is modeled after these two things? Like in the movie industry would be the superhero shit. In the video game industry would be Souls-like games. Am I sick and tired of the trend? Yes, I'm tired of the trend, but not necessarily the content itself. I just wish that more people would. I want to see innovation. I want to see the next level, like the next thing. I'm tired of dwelling on the same thing over and over again. And I talked to some of my friends about this. I'm sorry if I sound bitter. That's not my aim. It's open to interpretation. Uh, but I will tell you, I don't mean to sound bitter. I'm just being very critical and honest. And I was speaking to a friend recently, and I totally forgot the fuck I was talking about. Um, well, it was mostly about religion, right? Because I was reading lately. There's been a lot of activity going on in the whole, Palestine and Israel war. It's ongoing, fucked up war, which I have strong opinions about, but I ain't even gonna touch this one. You got to know me in real life for me to, for me to tell you what I feel about this one. There's no way I'm going to let this one be misinterpreted by anyone. But I will say that it's just wild to me how, you grab a book like the Holy Bible, for example, and several people read this Holy Bible, and all these people, they walk away with something different. Like, you know, one person would read the Holy Bible and they walk away, and Judaism is born, right? Like being Jewish becomes a thing reading the Holy Bible. Then another person comes and reads that same book the Jewish people read, and they get Christianity out of it. Then another person comes and reads that same book both Christians and Jews read, and then it gets invents Catholicism. Like what I'm trying to say is, one thing can be misinterpreted or interpreted differently from the individual, and I believe that's a big reason why it's hard for lots of creators. I'm trying to avoid the word content creators because I hate that word content creator. It just sounds so generic. It sounds very business like. I'm a content creator. Hi, my name's Bob, the hotshot content creator. It just sounds corporate-y. Don't like it. Whatever. I'm just gonna say creators, right? Which is not much of a difference, right? Just removed one word. Whatever. That's a problem that a lot of creators face, right? They say something and they get misinterpreted by, thousands of, possibly millions of people, depending on how big your reach is. I hate that. You see that all the time on Instagram or, any type of social media. You post up a picture or you say something and it's automatically dissected down to the letter, down to things in the image, and they completely ruin your message. Some of them are trolling, quote unquote. Those guys, not good neither, not helping. Some people are willingly starting shit knowing what you meant by that. Like, for example, let's say you made a joke and they know it's a joke, but they still want to write something like, oh, you shouldn't joke like that. Motherfucker, I'm joking. Why would you even, like, they just want to start shit. What the hell does this have to do with a pixelated survival game, right? Like politics and life. That's just me, dude. Can't even. I wish I can tell you how my brain works, but it's not a simple thing. I guess you can say I'm not a fan of small talk. Hence, while I'm here talking to you in YouTube for over half an hour, but I don't like trends. And I can't say Core Keeper follows the trend of survival crap because there's not much you can do to reinvent things in a survival crafting. You got to really sit there and think hard of a mechanic that's fresh and new that has not been introduced already to a specific genre like survival and sandbox, and you got to kind of run with it. And you got to be confident this is what's going to separate us from the rest of the other games. And it's kind of hard to do when it feels like everything's already been done. It's not impossible. And actually, for me, it's encouraged, because I like innovation. I like when people try new things. Hence why I love indie games, because indie games don't have these massive budgets, and they also don't have, these. I'm not sure if they get stockholders, but they don't have other companies or investors yelling like, "Hey, man, you got to go this direction. This is where the money's at." Like AAA, sorry, indie games get that that freedom of just trying new concepts, and if they fail, it's not the most major loss, depending on how much they invested or whatever. But typically speaking, their expectations, if you're an indie game developer, your expectations are not the highest for your game. I'm assuming, at least I could be completely wrong, but as long as you sell modestly, enough for you to make a part two or to even add more content to your new game, I'm pretty sure that would make a indie developer happy. I'm gonna assume this because I'm not in the business. I'm just a guy talking shit on YouTube, so I don't know. I do feel like Core Keeper, it feels like a drop in the bucket. The bucket being a bunch of survival games and Core Keeper just being another one. You know, but it is an exception in the sense that it is a great game. So like, yes, you still have to dig through the bucket to find Core Keeper, along with other, you know, more fleshed out games that fleshed out. Some games like Terraria, for example. Of course, Terraria is going to be more fleshed out than Core Keeper. Terraria has been around for like 13 years. That's like 13 years worth of content. Like if Core Keeper keeps on trucking, which I hope it does, because it's an awesome game, all in all. Like I told you, I gave it a solid 8 without even thinking, because I'm still playing it right now as I speak to you with some friends, and we play almost every night, and we're all enjoying it. And we all noticed that, like, none of us are like, oh yeah, we've seen all this before. There's nothing really, revolutionary, but we're all thoroughly enjoying it. And I'm sure that I'm positive this game was made for multiplayer. Of course, you can play by yourself, but it just seems like it was all of the leanings point towards, like, we want you to play multiplayer mostly in Core Keeper, and at least that's what I'm assuming, because you could play with up to like 8 people. I was like, geez, we're playing with 4 people, and it feels kind of chaotic. We've got a mom type figure that wants to, you know, make sure that everyone's has their potions, and she always carries, like, you know, stuff to cook food, and benches for you can repair your gear, which I'm not complaining. I'm actually thankful for that, because I don't carry any of that shit, and I'm always bitching like, oh, I should have repaired before I left the house. And she's like, I gotcha, and she pulls out like the whole kitchen sink from her bag. And then you've got another guy who is anal about, you know, don't leave stuff lying around. If you're gonna tunnel your way through a new area, make sure you cover the tunnel and don't let enemies come. And he's more of a crafter. He's like, very meticulous. He's like a farmer. He has like this whole industrial factory thing going on. He's got sprinklers attached to crops and shit. And it's funny. And to me, I'm more of like the adventure guy. Like, I can't sit still at home base for a long time. I gotta go out there. It's a wide world, man, and I want to just cut a big swath right through it and come back with cool gear and cool ore and seeds and all these type of all this good loot. We all have different play styles, and for the most part we get along. I would say 80% of the time we get along, but then our views kind of start to take over. Just like, almost like if you're living with roommates inside of an apartment. Eventually, you're going to clash, because everybody has different attitudes and different views on things, and obviously different hygiene practices too. I'd lived with 3 roommates, and I could tell you, man, all 3 different hygiene practices, man. Um, so, but like I was saying earlier, though, at the end of the day, Core Keeper, I don't want to reduce it to it's just another crafting game on Steam. You know, End of story. No, it is exceptional. It's exceptional because it's a good crafting game. Is it an original crafting game? No, not by any means. Is it a good crafting game? Yes. Should you spend time on this crafting game? Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I recommend it. If you like, cutesy um, crafting games where it can be relaxing and it also can be stressful depending on your settings. I've got it on hard. I don't have it on hardcore. If you put it on hardcore, I think permadeath is introduced, and you lose your character forever. I don't want all that. My character is set on normal, but my world is on hard. So the enemies hit harder and take more damage in order to die. And I like it that way because I feel like it gives me more of a challenge, and also it makes me think twice about engaging in conflict with some enemies, right? Because if you put it on easy, you could just practically breeze through the game without worrying about dying or whatever. I don't like to feel like that. I want to feel like, let me be a little more smart and pick my battles. Once again, like I said, like if you live with roommates, you've got others who feel the opposite. Like I got someone who I play with who puts all his games on easy, and which I have a huge problem with personally because I feel like video games should challenge you at least to some extent. You shouldn't just blow through a game with no resistance whatsoever, and then and he does it as a strategy. It's not because he doesn't. It's not because he lacks skill. Dude's been playing games longer than I have. It's not That's not the issue. It's not a skill issue. It's a I want to get loot as quick as possible without resistance. It's like a cheating issue. Or depending on who you speak to, for me it could be, I could say it's cheating. For someone it's like he's just enjoying a game. Fine, whatever. I'm not here to argue about that. I'm just saying that I don't agree with that. I feel like there should be some sort of a challenge. But I like it. Maybe that's why he doesn't venture a lot in my world out a lot, because he can die, and I guess he doesn't want to lose his shit and come back and grab it. I don't know, but he's mostly stationary when we play, so um, it's kind of funny. It's funny that we all have these different attitudes, but we all play, and we all love to play with each other, and that sounded weird. Let me rephrase that. We all like to play video games with each other, and it's great, man. It's and it helps that the game's actually good. It's not. Sometimes you can play a game that's like a 4 out of 10, but then it becomes a 6 just because you play with other people. Like the multiplayer aspect of the game raises up the fun level, the score of the game. It's not the game itself that's necessarily fun. It's the fact that you're playing with people in that game that's making it fun. With Core Keeper, I feel like it doesn't need friends to be fun. That's how you know it's a solid game. Like you can play this game solo and thoroughly enjoy it. It's deep enough. It's in early access too. I forgot to mention that. I should have probably led with that. But for an early access game that's been around for what, like 2 years now, maybe, it's man, it's got a lot going for it. It still needs some time to bake in the oven, but I can tell you that it's about like 85% done. So it's like you're at this level where sorry, the game is at this level where it feels like a fully fleshed game. It's not. The deeper you get into the game, there's not a lot of variety in enemies. That's one thing I noticed in certain areas. I feel like maybe that's something they should work on in Core Keeper. Like I only see like God damn it, I don't remember the names of these biomes, but I'm in this biome that I call it the SpongeBob world. I'm 100% sure that's not the real name of it, but it's like it reminds me of like SpongeBob type. Everything's bright and colorful and coral, and everything's like tropical and islandly, but it also looks kind of cartoony, kind of like SpongeBob. Don't know why. Even some of the items you collect remind me of like it has like SpongeBob aesthetics. I don't even know if that's a real word or term. But anyways, there's only like two different types of enemies that I've seen so far, and I'm like, that's it. Just these two. I think it's like a crab and like a tentacle thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is other enemies, and I haven't ventured really really far. But bosses are solid. They're fun to fight. We fought three so far, and I think we need three more, I believe, in order for us to reach endgame. It just got a major update recently. They introduced an entire new biome. That might be the biome that I'm in now, or maybe not. I'm not sure. I think it was Shimmering something. I don't know. I want to say Shimmering Isles, but I'm thinking of like Oblivion, Shivering Isles. Shimmering something, and it looks cool. That's what made me actually try the game out, because I've bought the game quite a while ago, and I played a little bit of it, and I was like, I know I can get my after like maybe an hour. I was like, I know I can get into this, and I was like, you know what? After we finish, I think we were playing Grounded at the time. I'm like, after we finish Grounded, we're definitely moving on to Core Keeper, and I'm glad I did. And the Shimmering biome name, whatever it's called, that's what enticed me to pull the trigger on it. But it is in early access, and it's impressive how much content this game has. It's still pretty deep for early access, and I'm excited to see what's happening in the future. And I know this is a game that me and my friends will come back to eventually. Maybe when a new biome is introduced, or maybe a year or two off of it. We can come back and see what kind of major changes. Kind of like Valheim, we all enjoyed Valheim about the same level. We played Valheim religiously, me and other friends. And me and yeah, me and the same friends. And now that I think about it, the same back in like 2020, I believe, during the height of the pandemic, we were all, bunkered, hunkered in, not by choice, obviously. And I'm not going to get into that, but we were all hunkered in, just playing Valheim a lot, and it was great. We had a lot of fun, and Core Keeper's giving me those vibes too. It's going to be like legendary among us, like we all have certain games that we talk about. We always go like, man, when I ask them like, what are the some of the best games that you feel like we've had the best fun in, the most fun in. The number one game that comes out of everyone's mouth is Valheim, and then followed by Project Zomboid. We all really thoroughly enjoy Project Zomboid. One of our friends didn't join us in this little Project Zomboid endeavor that we took, but I'm sure he'll like it too if he gave it a genuine shot. I know he tried it for a bit and he said he wasn't too crazy about it, but I don't think he had the correct settings. You really got to mess with your settings in Project Zomboid, zombie speed and all that. Like, you got to make it, for me personally, I like to make it fair. I don't like to cheat. I like do still like a challenge. And I also want, something a little more feasible, at least considering that the game's on, and by its default standards, it is like a perma death game, right? You can lose your character forever if you get infected or you die or whatever the case is. All right. Um, Music. I got a little note here, notepad thing here, and give me a second. I got a little notepad here, and it says great music. Just that's it, just plus great music. But I know what I meant when I wrote that, and it's true. It reminds me, the music is very chill. Reminds me a lot of Terraria in a sense that like it's memorable music. And one of the tracks, I can't remember from which biome, replays in my subconscious a lot. Like I'm at work and I'm like humming it, or I'm with my friend and she's driving me to work and I'm humming it in my head. Like it's catchy. It's it's done great. Uh, I do feel like there's a hell of a variety too. Every biome has like its own little theme, as well as like I think there's like a little default theme. It's glad to see that the music aspect of this game has been fleshed out, and it's just not like three tracks, and it's awesome. I thoroughly enjoy it, and it could be a cool, like I can see myself working on something like one of these videos like while I'm editing it or whatever, and then having like the Core Keeper OST in the background. I can see myself doing that. That's how good the soundtrack is. It's very like what's the word? Not spacey, maybe spacey, but more like ambient with cool little themes. I can't really explain it. I'm not a fucking music critic, but it's good. Um, it's a 2D game, top down game, so expect like I 8-bit, 16-bit. I get those mixed up. I think it's like a mixture of both because even like the water, even though the water is like 8-bit slash 16-bit, you can still see like reflections off of your character. That's something that most definitely Nintendo could not have done back in the day, unless they find a super clever way to do it. But this has like modern and like it has modern coding, modern, like a modern engine to like the occlusion, the ambient occlusion, and also the reflections and all that and stuff that typically make your graphic card scream. It does have little hints of that in this little 2D game, which is kind of charming, right? Because it's a mixture of like 2D, it's a mixture of like 8-bit, 16-bit, and then some new graphic settings that you would see in newer games, but just like really dumbed down almost. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly. Sorry if I'm sounding not great or stupid saying that. I like it. It's a good mixture. It does everything right. Hits every note positively. That's what I'm saying. It's an 8, and it could possibly be a higher score. Once I see more content and more enemy variety and just I wouldn't mind more stuff added to the game. Like I think you have pets, the elements of pets in the game, so you can kind of make a build around your pet. That's cool too. I like to see new engines and new mechanics like that. Those are cool. You've got seasonal shit right now. It's like Halloween when I'm recording this. Is it Halloween today? Oh, excuse me. No, Halloween is tomorrow. But they have like these seasonal, you know, events, and they have like this one seasonal NPC that you can lure into your base or camp or whatever, and he can sell you seasonal treats. You know, it can be anything from, like in this case, since it's Halloween, it's like candy and like a spooky workbench where you can make like spooky windows and shit. And I'm like, that's pretty cool that you can do that. And then I seen a Valentine's Day one, I seen an Easter one, I seen a Christmas one, Easter one. I think I just said that, but that's cool to see that they're working diligently on the game. Like, this is not a game that I see them giving up on anytime soon, and I'm happy to I'm happy to know that. Like, I'm confident that you can buy this game for like 15-20 bucks or something like that. Super fucking worth it, by the way. And this is a game that you're going to have in your library and you will come back to from time to time. That's an investment, right? Because I might have said this before in one of the videos that I recorded, but like, I'm a big believer, and I go by the dollar per hour rule when you buy a video game, right? Like, video games are getting more and more expensive, right? That's without a shadow of a doubt. Like, the standard price for like a video game nowadays is like $75 after taxes, right? Like 69.99 at in your favorite digital store or wherever you decide to buy it, or GameStop or wherever you buy physical media or digital media. And then after taxes, it's like a close $5. So you're looking at like 75 roughly, right? The way I see it is like, I follow the dollar per hour rule, right? If you pay $75 for a game, for example, if you play it for at least 75 hours, not in one sitting, obviously, psycho. I meant like throughout time, through its lifespan, then you've got your money's worth. Of course, that's not always the case. I'm sure that there's video games that I've bought for like 10, 15 bucks, and I probably played for like 3 hours and was like, nah, I'm good. Everybody's done it, but like, to me, that's the best way I can describe how to get your money's worth when it comes to buying video games. Try to play the video game try to play an hour for every dollar that the video game is worth. So you paid 15 bucks for it, try to play at least 15 hours. You pay 10 bucks for it, try to play 10 hours. You play 75 bucks for it, try to play 75 hours. Lately, I've been crushing it. I've been overdoing it. Like, Core Keeper, I got on sale for like 10 bucks or something like that at one point. I know for a fact, as a matter of fact, why I am talking to you, I'll tell you how many hours I've played it so far. 1 million hours. No, I'm joking. I played it for 36.8 hours. So, bang, already that's what? I paid 10 bucks for it. 26, 36. I'm doing the things with my hands to count because I'm not too smart. So, dude, bro, I can't even tell you, and I just did the math. I played this for quite the amount of time. Like, I got my money's worth for more, and I want to continue playing more. I've only played for 36.8. I can definitely see this rising up to a much higher number for sure. I've bought like the special edition or whatever edition of Starfield you want to call it. It was like the $100 edition that comes with the guarantee of the DLC that's coming out in the future, as well as like you get to play it a few days before before it actually drops. You get to play it for a while. So I paid about $100, right? I've played it so far, Starfield, for about 175 hours. So I already got my money's worth plus 75 more dollars. 75 more dollars. That's how I know. I'm like, okay, so if I was to stop playing Starfield right now, which I'm not, I'm going to definitely run this game to the ground. I'm enjoying it. I've got my issues with it. I'm not going to lie to you, but overall, I'm enjoying it, and that's what's important. To be honest with you, I got more issues with Starfield than I do with Core Keeper. But, that's probably not a fair comparison, considering that Starfield is a much more fleshed out game. It's a much more huge game with lots of more mechanics, lots of intricate things happening in the background. So I can't really, but whatever. What I am saying is that I do have my issues with Starfield, but overall, I like it a lot. Can't give it a rating just yet, but yeah, I do plan to play this a lot. So maybe that'll help you out when you decide to buy a video game. Oh, give me 1 second. I think I hear someone knocking. No, no, no. It's just neighbors talking outside in the hallway. Yeah, like maybe that'll help you out. Like, whenever you buy a video game, try to at the very least, play it for the amount that you bought it. Not in one sitting, of course, just as time goes on. You know. All right, let me close this tab real quick and find what the hell I was doing. Oh no, I'm opening up more tabs. All right, where was I? So, how long have I been recording? Oh no, I'm getting a phone call. So, overall, I mean, there's nothing about this game that I can say that it's glaringly terrible. Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. I will say the biggest complaint I got, it's not even that big. It's just, more variety in enemies, possibly a little more content, although there is a shitload of content in here already. I guess I'm spoiled because when it comes to crafting games and stuff like that, I want like a super huge world. Like if I was to play Terraria right now, I'll be like, fuck, I'm in for it. I've got fucking over a decade worth of content, but I can't take it too hard on Core Keeper because it's still a relatively new game. But I'm cheering for it, and I'm hoping that it continues. I'm hoping that it continues to be worked on and doesn't eventually become a dead game. But I've got faith that it's not. It's too awesome of a game. It's cute, it's charming, the music is done right, entertaining as hell. I'm cheering for this game, man, and maybe there'll be a part two of this in the distant future. I would not doubt that at all, and I would look forward to that. Give it a shot, man. Especially if you see it for like $10, like I did, dude. Don't hop on it, bro. Don't even think about it. Just grab it, man. It's fun. If you got some friends that also like this, man, go for it, man. All right. See you guys later.